I wanted to take a bit of a different spin today. I thought we could talk about, cognitive biases and the psychology of decision making and why people make decisions, but put it all in the framing of marketing and like getting clients. And I used SuperCool right before this, like transparently to generate. I was just like, in fact, my prompt was really not great. What did I originally say? Give me a concise bullet point lesson I can talk to client about the main cognitive biases and how they can use it in their marketing. And it gave me some cool stuff. So we'll talk. I've already been through it, and I want to set the stage here a little bit. So if anyone, by the way, the 10 or 15 people actually in the room, we'll start promoting these more. Are you guys aware of like what cognitive biases are? They're kind of like the hidden heuristics almost of like everyone operates utilizing cognitive biases, whether they know it or not, right? It's something that Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's business partner that sadly passed, I think it was last year or year before. He was really into the cognitive biases, right? So these Tuesday lessons, I'll try and mix up because we could do builds on famous or talk about the new stuff that's coming out, which we will do. But also, a lot of you guys are building amazing products and apps and platforms. But what I'm really seeing, and this kind of inspired the idea a little bit, especially on some of the famous onboardings. I kind of get shocked sometimes because a lot of people are like, well, now I've built the app, so where are all my millions of users? And I'm like, dude, you gotta market your product because you can have the best. By the way, if anyone's new here, I forgot. Some people might be new, even though this is a small call. So these are the Tuesday calls. These are usually about sales or marketing, or we can talk about famous or any of our platforms. They can be a little versatile, let's say, sporadic. And today I've been on calls all day, so I was like, what's the main thing that has been agitating me, for lack of a better word, this week? And it's sometimes on these onboardings I do for famous, which are I'm getting hundreds of people on these onboardings now per day for either famous or super cool. And sometimes I'm just a bit mystified because people are like they think they can build an app and a product and it just magically gets users, and it's like, no, you've got to market it, right? Unless there are one of a few things happen. The easy thing is obviously it gets some magic hit of virality and becomes a huge sensation overnight. But of course you can't manufacture that, and it's not realistic to try and bank on virality because no one can figure out what virality is. There are things you can do to increase the probability of virality for sure, but not like 100 million people will see it overnight. There's no way to guarantee that. People don't really understand like what is it? What is the essence of virality and how can I manufacture that to my products and businesses? So, unless you manage to go viral or build up word of mouth over years or do all the really expensive like other types of marketing, you're really only left with one thing, and that's building really badass online sales funnels and marketing. So anyway, what I thought would be cool on this one, I didn't know how many people were going to show up, but we've got a few here. So we're also probably going to record this and put it on YouTube, which reminds me, those of you that don't already know, subscribe to this. This is our YouTube channel, which we're putting a lot of effort into. So you'll go, I'll kind of show you around quickly. This is the YouTube channel, and then if you go to videos, we're uploading so much badass stuff, content up to, oh look, it's my audiobook. Up onto this, like a lot of evergreen content, dig through it. I've got some branding stuff down below. Where am I? Down here. Caleb is someone we worked with. He's actually insane at teaching a lot of this stuff. But if you click into any video, and go to, this is a good little hack here, and go to the description. You'll see in almost every video description is the links for our free live trainings, which I'll also, it's literally almost in every video, right? Like I can scroll up, I can click on this one, go to the description, and it's there. So almost in every single video, you can jump on any live call you want, which is pretty cool. I'll also just post the schedule there. That is all of our live calls, but please subscribe to the channel. We're going hard on this channel. We're really going to build it and scale it this year. It is one of our many, many goals. So let's just jump straight in and talk a little bit about the cognitive biases. I'll show you what I generated using SuperCool. Where is it? So again, the cognitive biases, Charlie Munger. If you haven't read Poor Charlie's Almanac, it's probably the best description of the cognitive biases and the psychology of decision making and like why people make the decisions they do. And it's really powerful shit, like really powerful. If you understand the cognitive biases, whether you are building products, services, or marketing or in sales, it's almost like that Peter Parker, or it's not Peter Parker, Spider-Man. It's his uncle that said, "With great power comes great responsibility." If you become a master of the cognitive biases, it's you better be using them for good, is all I can say. So we'll go through a few of the main ones here. I noticed that it left out a couple, so I'm getting a scam caller again, which I get about 20 a day at the moment. Um, but let's dive into it, shall we? This can be a bit more of a cognitive bias marketing lesson. And this is these. I just wanted a concise description, then we can talk about it a little bit. I'll try and think of some examples on the spot. I don't know if it's better for you guys if I do it just me and reading it or you guys seeing it. I think seeing it is better so you can actually visually kind of follow along. So let's just do it this way. So again, I use the word concise because I didn't want to over elaborate way of doing it. But cognitive biases in marketing, real world examples. Cognitive biases, a practical guide. Understanding cognitive biases allows marketers to create more effective campaigns by aligning with how people naturally think and make decisions. Again, everyone, you guys are day to day, second to second, minute to minute, all utilizing one, if not 10, if not, how many did Charlie Munger say there are? I think 27 or 28 cognitive biases all in all, but there are like maybe 5 to 7 very like main powerful ones. I think this one has 10. I noticed it did leave out a couple of, I just remembered another one that I don't think is on here. I'll write on my trusty whiteboard. But you guys are using cognitive biases all the time to make decisions, or rather, you're using them without knowing, and people are enforcing them on you. So it's good to be aware of a lot of this. And some of this might be basic for some of you guys. Um, and some of you might understand it, some of you not so much. But even if you know the cognitive biases, it's it's really important to have a bit of a refresher once in a while because you are being hit with these every single friggin' day. Like especially if you're on social and being hit with ads, like cognitive biases are everywhere. Anchoring bias, it's a pretty simple one, right? People rely heavily on the first piece of information they receive, the anchor, when making decisions. So, how to use it? Show original higher prices before discounts. So I used to do this like all the time. Maybe if I kind of do that and I'll do this when talking about the examples when it reminds me of stuff. So, I've done a lot of high ticket sales, one-on-one in my time. I mean, I've done millions upon millions of dollars of sales if you're including building sales teams and raising money through accredited investors and all that kind of stuff. But a really simple like anchoring thing that we used to do with high ticket sales is you always when I used to work partner with a guy and I ran his sales team and we had this high ticket product that had three components to it, right? It was the money program, entrepreneurship program, and right at the top was the persuasion program. The persuasion program was actually like really friggin' awesome. It had like Mark Cuban in it, Gary V, Gary Keller, like some huge, huge names. And it was a $10,000 program. Although it was a digital course, right? I've actually got a side story about this, and it shows you the contrast of pricing and price elasticity. But anyway, first focus is anchoring. And when we set that up, it was three pricing tiers. The initial one, which you had to pay, was the money program for like $1,000. Then the entrepreneur program was 5,000, and then you would anchor in the persuasion program and talk about it last. And you would climb up the sales ladder, as you call it, from 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000, and you would anchor 10,000. But you would never, we like some people, you get those buyers that are just like, yes, I want the 10,000 thing, absolutely. But then you can also introduce, based on real stuff that that person is going through or have some type of scholarship program in place, but you're never aiming for the 10K. You're actually usually aiming for whatever will create the most amount of sales, which is in that case, it was the entrepreneur program, it was the 5,000, but we would never aim for the 5,000 either. It would be the 3,500. The 3,500 after $1,000 or $1,500 scholarship. A lot of the people we were getting in were college students at the time, so we had college scholarships, right? And veteran scholarships, and a few others that made sense. So even though there were three pricing tiers and you could give scholarships for each tier, the thing you were aiming for was the 3,500. But in every single situation, even if you're talking to someone that's already told you that they don't have, $10,000 or whatever it is, you'll always go up. Am I a part of this webinar? Yes, Ricardo. What what a what a strange question. I don't know. Are you? You'd always go up that ladder and anchor the high number. So I know this said the first number, but can also be the highest number. Anchoring can be the first thing you throw out or the highest thing. So you go up and anchor it. And you could even anchor at the 10,000 because it's like perceived value. People are like, oh, $10,000 is a lot. But then when you go back down the chain to 5,000, 3,500, now that you've anchored in the 10,000 and relative contrast, but oh, that's another one, contrast bias that I don't think is in here. 3,500 compared to 10,000 is relatively little. Now, if you really wanted to anchor the 10,000 or higher than the 10,000, let's say you were really trying for the 10,000, which in other scenarios you would do as well. You can do we would leverage the cost of college, right? So if I just tell you, okay, $10,000 for online education, you're like, oof, that's a lot, right? But not when you compare it to the price and the complexity and length and student loans of going to college for 4 or 5 years, and the amount of debt you get into, usually hundreds of thousands, the amount of tuition you pay, usually in the up to 100,000, right? Especially with doctors and lawyers. And also the majority of people that don't have specified positions or things they're going for. College is a complete waste of fucking time. Sorry, it is. It's one of the biggest scams in history. I did business management and learned nothing. The only good thing I got was a degree that allowed me to get my first visa to America. Apart from that, the degree itself completely useless, right? So you're anchoring all of these things. You're anchoring the fact that college, unless you have a specific thing that you're going for, and feel free to disagree, of course, these calls are to do that. You're anchoring the fact that college, for the most part, I'll say it, is pretty useless, apart from the social aspects of it, maybe. Also, you can develop a few real bad habits at college, but but you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars compared to $10,000 for online education, which you can do wherever and whenever you want with some of the biggest entrepreneurs in the world that have actually been there and done it. You're not just learning from teachers who teach and have never actually done. Like, what's a really old school saying that people say? that can piss teachers off quite a lot. Like if you can't do, teach. You heard that one? If you can't do, teach. So college, unfortunately, for the most part, you're learning from people that have no actual real world practical applications. So when you do all that and anchor all of those high numbers, college tuition, debt, the fact you're learning from potential charlatans, right, that haven't actually done anything, and all you're doing is studying to get a piece of paper and has no real world application, unless you're a doctor or dentist or something like that. And then really push the fact that you can get this 10K tuition, then the contrast bias, the anchoring, it all makes sense. So that's like anchoring bias for you. But what examples did they say? How to use it? Show original higher prices before discount. Present premium options first to make standard options seem affordable. That's exactly what we were doing with like that 3,500. You anchor that 10,000, but really you're aiming for the 3,500. And it seems like a hell of a deal with everything that you're getting it. But make sure you package it all beautifully well and know how to talk about it in a way that makes sense and conveys a hell of a lot of value. Use high initial numbers in negotiations or pricing deals. So, real world examples, iPhone pricing always shows the highest storage capacity model first. 1,200 making the base model, 800 seem very reasonable. Amazon strikes through original prices. $99, no way, and shows sale prices 59.99. It's a very obvious one, making the discount feel more substantial. Reminder, guys, why are we going through this? Because I know a hell of a lot of you, probably at least 50% of the people on this call, maybe way more than that, are building marketing funnels. Famous.ai, if you're using Famous, does a lot of this automatically. That doesn't mean that you can't and what's kind of cool is at the bottom here. I'll share this document with you, but it kind of goes through a checklist for your next campaign of all the things you should have on like your marketing potential landing pages. So I'll like share this with you at the end. SuperCool did a cool little thing with it. I need to format this a little better, but and then Williams Sonoma, what the hell is this? I didn't even know what that is. Introduced the 429 bread maker, which didn't sell well. Then they introduced a 279 model alongside it. Sales of the 279 version increased dramatically because it seemed like a deal compared to the anchor. Yeah, you could argue there's anchoring bias and also contrast bias in there as well. Social proof, bandwagon effect. Amazon is built on it. I'm always talking about how important it is to get testimonials. Like it's really good talking about yourself, exponentially more so if other people are talking about how badass your services and products are, right? We use social media, man, social proof on all of our marketing, especially our funnels, or if we're doing events. I'm not using any for our current event because we haven't technically done a 6-day incubator. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard that I don't want to do that and leverage the social proof we have from other events because it's not technically the same thing. But really, really, you'll notice when you generate a landing page on Famous, one of the first 3 sections, usually, they'll have mock testimonials in there because the system understands that it is probably, arguably, when it comes to marketing and sales, the most powerful cognitive bias you can possibly have is that social proof and testimonials, right? Like if you're standing on the, I'm trying to come up with examples as we go here. If you like a physical real world example, if you're standing on the side of the road and you're hungry and there are on the other side of the road, there are 2 restaurants and one has a bunch of people in it laughing, having fun and looking like they're enjoying themselves and the other restaurant is completely empty, which one are you going to go for? Arguably, some people might be super introverted, but generally, that's a physical example of social proof. Like you see that it must be a good product because people are loving it and are having a laugh and blah blah blah, right? So very, very simple, basic example of social proof there. What did they say about it? People look to others' actions to determine their own, especially in uncertain situations. Again, one of the biggest companies in the world, Amazon. You guys use Amazon. I use Amazon every single friggin' day. What's one of the first things you do? You go to the testimonials, you see, or not even, you don't even read the testimonials. You just see how many testimonials they are and the star rating and all that kind of stuff. So how to use it, display customers' counts, reviews, and testimonials, show bestseller or most popular labels, use phrases like join 1 million satisfied customers. Why did I publish a book? Very much for social proof. This is something that I did through our team. I'm also gonna get the bestseller stamp on Amazon. Again, a huge like if you're marketing yourself and pushing yourself and your business or your app or whatever it is, if you've got a best-selling book on Amazon, that is an awesome form of social proof. And also, which I think this gets into authority bias and leverage, positioning yourself as an expert, right? So, real world examples. What have they got? I barely haven't even, read this. So let's see what they've got to say. Booking.com, 23 people are looking for this hotel right now. Yeah, that's a good thing. So I'm literally using this now. Wait, what was this? Okay, yeah, no, I thought this was almost scarcity, which I think it gets into. Um, but we'll talk about that later. 23 people are looking at this hotel right now, right? It gives you that urgency. Urgency bias is another. That urgency, like more people are looking at it, it must be popular. Fine. Netflix, top 10 in your country today, badges on shows. I'm always looking at that actually. Funnily enough, the top 10, like what are other people watching? There must be a reason that people are watching this. Why is this number one in the world today? A lot of people like it. Let's give it a go. Social proof. McDonald's, billions and billions served on their sign. Literally, yeah. Yelp, TripAdvisor, star rating and review counts drive restaurant choices. Yelp is literally social proof, right? If you've got Yelp, like if you got bad or shitty trust pilots or Yelps, then your business is directly impacted because of that. Usually depending on the type of business, but arguably I don't think there's a business out there that wouldn't benefit massively by having strong Yelps and strong trust pilots. There are literally businesses built around the concept of social proof, which is Yelp and TripAdvisor. And like I said, Amazon's Choice, number one bestseller badges, significantly boost conversion rates. Scarcity bias. This one is a good one. Fear of missing out, right? Like I am using a cheeky one right now, even though it's completely authentic and genuine. I'm talking about our well, it's not even I'm using it. It's factual. We've got 20 spots for this incubator we're doing, the accelerator at the end of January. We've sold 15 of them. So there's a natural scarcity that there's only 5 spots left. So like I've already got people booked on my calendar. I'm guessing the 5 spots will be gone by the end of the week. People are a bit lazy over Christmas. I get it. But a very, very simple use of scarcity bias, right? People, FOMO, like fear of missing out. People hate missing out on things, especially if it's stuff they're interested in. So let's see what examples they've given here. People place higher value on things that are scarce or running out. Yeah, what's a really cool example of it? It's like Dior or someone. One of the big fashion labels. It may be Chanel. It's either Chanel or Dior. They literally only stock one of each item in their like flagship stores. I can't remember which one. I want to say it's Dior, but because the scarcity and FOMO effect that creates and the value, perceived value of it. Same thing with like trading cards. I mean, I don't do the Pokemon cards, but people go nuts over those things because of the rarity of something. The rarity of something dramatically increases its perceived value, right? Same thing with coin collecting, same thing with a lot of different things. So again, taking a step back, in your marketing and sales funnels, use things like this, but you always have to, I'll take it off screen share. You always have to be real about it. Don't use like fake scarcity to trick people into it. Like I'm not saying we've only got 20 spots and you're going to show up and there are going to be 50 people there. No, we've only got 20 spots because we've tested more than that for like high level stuff. And anything beyond that point dilutes the attention that we can give people. So 20 people is a sweet number. There's real scarcity there. With all of this stuff, like I said, with great power comes great responsibility. So don't use things you can see how you easily use this. And I'm sure everyone here, myself included, has been scammed by great looking products on landing pages and then realize it's just you know, smoke and mirrors. And they use all of these tactics on you to get you super bought in on the front end. And then you get behind the pay window and it's not what you were promised, right? So it can definitely be used in the wrong hands. Did the ouch? I have masters. Sorry, Joe. Sorry, Joanna. I'm not taking it back. What's your masters in? But I've got a degree in business management, completely friggin' useless if you ask me. It's one of the worst scams in history. I'm not gonna. I could dive down that rabbit hole, but a lot of people are left in debt. A lot of people, and especially nowadays, you can learn most things very economic science. All right. Let me ask you, Joanna, has that been very useful to you in your life? Did you get a job directly related to that? If so, great. You're one of the ones that it was relevant for. Um, Anything I've done was not related to the degree I got. But I want to know, Joanna, did your specific degree, did you go down that path or did you use it? I had a trade, so yes, it helped a bit. Okay, fair enough. All right. Let's dive back in it. Scarcity, fear of missing out. By the way, is this interesting? We can totally jump off here and just start building stuff. I'm just trying to do something a little different. I know there are only about 10, 15 of you in here. But is this stuff interesting? We're going to go through, like literally blast through the cognitive biases here. And it's good for you to use this in your marketing. Again, famous.ai, if you're building landing pages, is great. But you need to spot check it as well. So anyway, let's continue. What examples do they use? How to use it? Limited time offers and countdown timers. Literally, no one, no takers. Is this interesting? Yes or no? We can completely swap to something else. Give me a one if this is interesting, two if not so much. Or let me do a vote with only the few people in here. Do a one if you want to stick and go through the cognitive biases. Two if you want to switch to building something on famous. All right. Two ones, one, two. One. All right, we'll continue with this. Unless twos become. Sorry, Oscar, the crowd has spoken. Scarcity bias, limited time offers and countdown timers, only X left in stock. This is where people really can get misleading with this stuff, by the way, and just lie. So don't ever lie. Don't ever lie in your marketing or anything like that. Real world examples, booking.com, only one room left at this price. See, I think guys like this sometimes do elaborate and bend the truth a little bit. Um, that's a very like booking.com especially. I know a lot of airlines do it as well when in fact, they'll say there are two spots open when in fact there are 10. So just, in your business, you can sleep at night knowing that you use this authentically and genuinely. Supreme releases limited quantities of clothing weekly, creating lines around the block and instant sellouts. Amazon Prime Day, yep, exactly. 48 hours exclusive deals create urgency. Nike, Adidas, or as Americans say, Adidas. Limited edition sneaker drops like Yeezys, Ticketmaster, only 3 tickets left at this price. It's hard when you see stuff like this because there's no way you can prove if there are actually 3 tickets left. It's funny, it's 3 tickets left, and a week later, it's still 3 tickets left. Loss aversion. People fear losing out more than they value gaining something of equal worth. And you could argue that's also a little bit of FOMO. Frame messages around what customers will lose, not just gain, offer free trials. That's also tied in with commitment and consistency bias, which is a really powerful one. So if you guys have heard of is famous trained with this bias or info we need to improve? Yes, it is, Chuck. It is. It is absolutely. So commitment consistency is a really powerful one. In fact, before I talk about it, let me even see if it's on this list. Loss aversion, it's kind of reciprocity. That this is a huge one. I'll love talking about that one. Authority bias, decoy effect, endowment effect. Oh, well, this is kind of okay. I won't talk about that now then. Where do we get to? Loss aversion, how to use it, frame messages around what customers will lose, not just gain, offer free trials. People don't want to lose access. That specifically is related to commitment consistency, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Real world examples, Spotify, yep, free trials, insurance companies. What would happen to your family if you weren't protected? LinkedIn Premium, you could be missing out on who's viewed your profile, fear of missing opportunities, Dropbox, credit card. Yeah, yeah, fine. That's actually one of, I don't know why they've ranked that one so high. There are, I think these ones below are much more important. Reciprocity bias. So reciprocity bias is like people will remember you and be more likely to help you or provide value to you or buy from you if you've given them something, right? People feel obligated to return favors or give back when they receive something. I'll tell you a cool little trick that I used to do in high ticket sales, which was completely free. And that was a great example of reciprocity bias, right? And because it can be the smallest of things that add up to massive change. Like if you're doing high ticket sales or persuasion, arguably we're all trying to persuade. Like life is about persuasion. A mother trying to feed its child green beans or something, that is a form of persuasion. You encounter multiple things that either things are trying to persuade you or you're trying to persuade people and things during your day. Like a little thing I used to do on sales calls a lot, which was really came naturally to me because I love reading. You know, any given time I got a few books on the desk. You guys know that. I haven't dug into Crime and Punishment yet, but I have dug into The Lighthouse, Virginia Woolf. Um, is I would just give book recommendations on calls. Like if I was on let's say I was trying to sell this $10,000 ticket and anchoring hundreds of thousands of dollars of college tuition and all of that, what would really help, like a little goes a long way. If you're listening, if you're actively listening to the person you're talking to and something pops into your head that could be of real value to them, aka a YouTube video or a book recommendation or an Audible book or something like, yeah, you're trying to do marketing on the front end. There's this great author called Terry Shan. You should check out his book. Um, or if they're having problems in, you can think of, oh, I've moved all my books because I'm moving house. But little things like that, it's a gift of a bit of knowledge that they didn't have. That if they listen to you and go on YouTube and find the Audible book for something else, or check out the TED Talk or whatever it might be, and they get some real value for it, the perceived value of you in their eyes drastically raises. Why? Because you're actually listening and you're giving real value to them, it's in a real authentic way. Like I wasn't like, was I trying to sell people when I was directly in high ticket sales? Like of course, yeah, and I built teams around that, yes. But I would always be like, I want to try and get things out of the calls themselves as well, which is like every time you finish a call, you feel like you've actually helped that person. And if you feel like you've actually helped that person and given them a load of advice that isn't even relevant to maybe the thing you're talking about, like, if I'm talking about a $10,000 persuasion program with Mark Cuban on it, who cares about me talking about like Good to Great by, there's a great mini lesson on Good to Great by what the hell is the author's name? But is it Jim Collins that wrote Good to Great? There's no immediate benefit there's no tangible benefit to either party of me doing that, but there is a massive intangible benefit of you wanting to genuinely help that person. And in their eyes, if you feel like you've genuinely helped someone and your intentions are good, in that person's mind, they are going to think more highly of you and trust you more. Because if you're genuinely trying to help someone, that usually comes through on the other end. They feel like you're genuinely trying to help them, right? So again, if you're in high ticket sales, persuasion, or day to day, just being aware of a lot of this stuff is really good. So reciprocity bias, really important. The main thing here, guys, is all of you should at some point, if not now, in the very near future, you should be building marketing funnels. And even though Famous does all this, it's good for you to be objectively aware of the cognitive biases so you can use them in their full force, right? Um, I'm trying to think of an example of something like on a landing page, famous. Yeah. So, um, let's say I'm building a funnel for this book, right? Beautiful Brutality, but I had to read the title of my own book, lol. So really good, by the way. Um, if I built a landing page for this book, what could I do in terms of reciprocity on the landing page is I could, which we do for a lot of our clients, is I'll give the first two chapters of the Audible book version, like literally, it's right here. So I'll give them the first two chapters on the landing page. The thing that first offends people often becomes the very thing they love most about you. It actually does kind of sound like me quite scarily. But I'll give them that on the landing page, and that's like a form of reciprocity bias that you can do in your marketing, right? You're actually giving them value up front rather than hiding everything behind the paywall. Who uses reciprocity? Let me ask you a question, guys. Hi Terry, I'm friends with It's my first time here. I'm holding three app ideas, but I'm a bit lost. How and where can I start and what technical support? Oh, Francisco, so you should attend my onboarding calls on Mondays and Thursdays. Let me drop you the link. And then, hang on, what was the thought I was going to say? While I'm doing this, can anyone name the marketer right now that probably uses reciprocity bias more than anyone else in history? Does anyone know who I'm talking about? And you can literally like you'll Google him and you'll see all of the free shit you get. It's pretty insane. Does anyone know who I'm talking about? Hint, he just broke the Guinness World Record for most books sold in like a day or something. Um, yeah, I don't think anyone knows. Let me just grab this link for you. Here you go. I'm just going to put this orientation link in the chat for you. Alex Hormozi. Yeah, that's exactly it. Francisco, join that. I sent you the whole link there. That's for the onboardings for famous.ai specifically every Monday and Thursday. Yeah, Alex Hormozi is a god of, love him or hate him. He is a god of reciprocity bias because he gives an insane amount of stuff away for free. Like you can if you want to know a lot about marketing, look up Alex Hormozi on YouTube and his podcasts. And I think you can even download a bunch of stuff. Like it's really, really high level, incredible marketing stuff. And that's how he's built a lot of his empire is by leading for free with so much overwhelming value. People can't help but trust and feel obligated to return favors or give back when they receive something because he just gives an insane amount away. There's a reason why he just broke the world record for book sales. I think it was book sales in a day. Um, because a huge part is reciprocity bias. He gives so much away for free. So yeah, offer free samples, trials, or valuable content first. Provide unexpected bonuses or gifts before asking for a sale. Builds trust as well. It doesn't really mention that. Builds huge trust. So Costco, Sam's Club, yeah, free food samples throughout the stores, increase overall purchases. HubSpot offers massive amounts of free marketing resources, templates, and courses before selling software. Sephora, free makeup samples with every purchase, encourages return visits. Hotels, mints on pillows, complimentary upgrades, create goodwill and loyalty. Remember, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that costs you anything. Remember my calls, like a beautiful little thing you can do is just give like advice can be a form of reciprocity if you're delivering it and it's being received in the right way because it shows people that you're actually listening and you care about them, which is a form of a gift, which then can incite reciprocity in that person. Chick-fil-A occasionally gives free food items or upgrades, creating strong customer loyalty. Authority bias, pretty self-explanatory, right? Like people trust and follow the opinions of experts and authority figures. Great if you got a book and you get a bestseller, that is literally instant authority for whatever you're trying to do, positioning yourself as an expert. That's why we push, like in your business ecosystems, having a book, having it be bestseller on Amazon. Um, it's a great way to do it, right? Like, great way to get on podcasts if you're trying to build a personal brand or showcase your business or whatever it is your goals are. Authority is really, really important. So how to use it, feature expert endorsements and certifications. That's also why our certification programs, when we were running them pretty hard, were so successful because people realize that a certification is a form of authority bias, right? A doctor walks in their white suit uh, or white get up, whatever the hell they're called, doctors' gowns or whatever it is. It's instant authority, right? You're going to listen to that because they're a doctor. They've earned that authority for you. So, real world examples: Crest toothpaste. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Crest. Michelin tires, Michelin star ratings for restaurants. Yeah, I can't remember the story behind that. Why the hell has Michelin tires got anything to do with restaurants? I can't remember why. Leveraging their authority and quality. Like, did you know that when you're talking about like a two Michelin star chef, it's literally the tire company. I can't remember the relation. Bizarre. Rolex endorsed by Roger Federer, Tiger Woods. Yeah, celebrity endorsements, massive authority. Masterclass courses taught by celebrities and world experts. Yeah, like who are you going to listen to? Bob Smith that just came out with a persuasion program or a persuasion program that's got Mark Cuban in it and Gary Keller and Gary V that have done hundreds of millions of dollars of sales. Obviously, it's inbuilt inherent authority in that thing. If you've got celebrity endorsement, WebMD, medical information, well, is WebMD even a thing anymore? Decoy effect. People change preferences between two options when presented with a third, less attractive option. That's why you'll notice when you're generating on famous.ai, it usually will, landing pages, this is, if you're generating a landing page, it will usually generate 3 tiers, right? Because you're able to anchor whichever one you wanna out of the three, but there are subtle ways to make people go for the one you actually want them to go for. Much almost like I was talking about the 3,500 out of the 10, 5, 1, 3,500, the sweet spot. Create 3 pricing tiers, small, medium, large. Make the middle option the most attractive, either the highest tier. So a lot of our landing pages will do something like this. It will be the top tier will be like $197 and the bottom tier um will be say let's say 7.99 but only get a few credits, and then the sweet spot is the $27 a month. I mean, guys, I'll literally show you what we do with we do it very slightly on, is it SuperCool we do it on? Let me quickly check. So if you look at the credit system, this just came to me because we do this with SuperCool. It's a little more subtle, but you see there's a little bit of oh my God, what the hell was it called? The decoy effect on here, because these are all great tiers, they're all valuable. But pro, if you actually do the math, is the most valuable. It's where you get the most. So you actually get roughly about 300 credits per dollar if you use pro. So most people are on this subscription because of the way we've laid it out. It's subtle, but it's there. We even say it's the best value, right? So most people, even though we've got all these tiers, this is the one we're really, really gunning for. That's a cool real world example. There we go. Showing you behind the curtain. Movie theater popcorn, that's a great one. So you'll have small at $6, medium at $7, and large at $7.50. Obviously the choice to go for is $7.50, right? Because comparably the contrast, you're like, why wouldn't I get a large if it's 50 cents more than a medium? The Economist subscription, web only 59. Oh, this is an interesting one. Print only 125, web and print 125. Nobody picks print only, but it makes the combo seem valuable. Starbucks sizes, tall, grande, venti. Grande becomes the reasonable choice. Software pricing, Adobe, Microsoft, basic, professional, enterprise. Professional is designed to be the sweet spot. Ah, see, notice our professional thing is the sweet spot as well. And we're a software. So iPhone storage options, 128, blah, 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 positioned as the smart middle choice. Endowment effect. So they call this endowment effect. Uh, Charlie Munger called it commitment consistency bias. Small decisions can lead to bigger actions, right? When people value things more highly simply because they own them or feel ownership. So there's an interesting example of this. There's a really good, you can look this one up, and I'll probably butcher it a little bit, but commitment consistency. They did this test of when they were doing a campaign for, let's say, I don't know, the local governor in your town. This is literally a study, you can look it up. Um, and they were, even though they were in support of whatever party it was, let's say John Smith, right? They were going around different neighborhoods and asking whether or not they could campaign, stick a big, huge, like ugly billboard for, candidate John Smith on their front lawn. And they did it with two neighborhoods. And one neighborhood had, because it's a big, ugly sign, right? So one neighborhood had a huge ratio of people saying yes to putting this sign in their front yard. You know, big white hideous sign right in your front yard so everyone can see candidate John Smith or I support candidate John Smith. What was the huge difference in the two neighborhoods as to why so many people in this neighborhood agreed to have this big ugly sign on their front lawn? And they it's documented. You can literally like Google like this experiment as I'm talking about it. It was one thing. It was one thing. A week prior, in the neighborhood that said yes to it, they went around and gave either small stickers or like little postcards and asked that neighborhood if they were supporting this candidate, would they put a small sticker or small card in their front window? And obviously, that is way less of a big decision than putting a big stonking sign in your front yard. So the majority of people said yes. So when they came back and said, hey, can I stick this huge thing? They had already psychologically made a decision to support this thing and take an action on it. And it was a small little sticker. But because of the commitment consistency bias, that kicked in. So then when asked, they wanted to support the decisions that they had already factually made in their head and made a commitment to put something in the window. That's why the majority of that neighborhood now have, whenever it was, had these big stonking signs in their front yards because they were just agreeing with themselves to a decision they had made earlier. It was commitment consistency to that initial small decision. Really interesting stuff. So how can it what's a good like actionable practical, so we use this all the time as well, right? That's why, and we've used this in different forms over the years. And right now our prerogative, is that the right word, or our right now our the main thing we're trying to do, words are falling out of my head, but the main thing we're trying to do is build, big subscription base because that's where true value is. But if you're starting out, like we've got hundreds of thousands of users, it's great. We don't really care about our high ticket sales anymore. We're doing this incubator more for like the social proof and just blowing everyone out the water and doing for that rather than making money. We're losing a lot of money on the first event. I'll tell you that much for free because we don't care about that. But typically, and what we've done in the past, not just with in the last 3 years with Deal and SuperCool and Famous, but multiple times you'll start with you can either do a free sign up or very small amount, $1 or $2, to get some sort of value from it. And then when you start getting hit with the upsells, and yes, I know sometimes we can go super hard with our upsells in our funnels. There's a reason for it. Um, it's that commitment consistency. You've already made a decision. You've given that credit card information. You've made that conscious choice. Commitment consistency is a very powerful tool. In once you've made that decision, for a small number, you're much more likely to go for the $100 upsell rather than if you had never made that initial small decision in the first place, right? So anyone that has any marketing salt knows these cognitive biases, right? Used in the right way, well, just use them in the right way. Don't be deceiving with it. But yeah, we go very hard on the upsells, and it's commitment consistency. If you bought a lower ticket, you're far more likely to buy a higher ticket. Or in a longer scale of things, if you've imparted with a little bit of money and you're in the system, let's say, like we do this with our live calls, it's the byproduct of us wanting to do a lot of training and be there for you guys. No other platform, by the way, that I'm aware of or any of us are aware of, do the amount of live training we do. We do uh, 6 live trainings a day or a week that aren't onboardings, plus I do another 4 onboardings. So we do 10 live calls a week. I don't think any other business I can name does that. Where was I going with that? I've lost a train of thought. Commitment, consistency. Oh, over a longer period of time, like if you get people in at a lower price and you're giving a lot of value, then again, that trust is there. So when you go to talk to them about the 10,000, the 20,000, the $100,000 upsell on a private island, blah, 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 they've already built that trust with you. Plus, they've already got that consistency bias, commitment consistency bias with them as well. Again, they call this the endowment effect, but let's read what they've got. How to use it: offer trial periods or try before you buy. Use language that creates ownership, your account, your savings, allows customization, personalization. Real world examples were Warby Parker, man, can't talk. Free home trial for 5 glasses. Once you wear them, you feel ownership. Yep, exactly. Test drives where you actually. Well, I guess this is actually slightly different than commitment consistency, but still kind of like in line with it. Tesla test drives where you actually take the car home. Wait, what? Test drives where you actually take the car home overnight. Okay, got it. Nike by you, customize your own sneakers, creates emotional attachment before purchase. Rent to own companies. Once furniture is in your home, you don't want to give it back. Free trials. Once your data is in Dropbox, Evernote, switching feels like a loss. Very, very true. Confirmation bias. This is really, really dangerous and terrible in today's day and age. People make decisions and then look for things that confirm their decisions, and they put blinders on and then don't take note of anything that contradicts or like is a strong argument against it. You see it on social media in insane amounts. Confirmation bias is ridiculous, and everyone's aware. Like everyone does it. Everyone does it. You're in arguments. You're always looking for like the things that confirm your argument, than rather be completely neutral and objective. Like I've got a very find the right word, Terry, a fiery, passionate wife who has instant memory recall of anything and highly intelligent. So choose my words very carefully there. So, but you get into an argument with your wife, let's say, you're always trying to think of the things that confirm the evidence that you have or the argument that you have. It's confirmation bias. It gets really dangerous. It's kind of linked to liking and disliking bias as well. That's a separate cognitive biases that's very it's like political campaigns, polarizing people. It's like people will not listen to anything that I'm going to say something pretty controversial here that say let's say Donald Trump says because they hate Donald Trump. It's like it's confirmation bias, but it's also liking and disliking bias. If you truly dislike someone, you will not listen. Generally, people will not listen to that person even if they have fantastic ideas. Like you can absolutely hate Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, like any super polarizing person in the world. But it's insane to think that you can't agree or think that they have one or two really good ideas. But people will put on blinders and say, like, no, I hate Donald Trump. I hate everything about him, every decision he's ever made. Like Donald, and by the way, I'm not saying I'm not for Donald Trump against. I'm not expressing any political opinions here. That's a dangerous thing to do unless you're literally trying to do that. But Donald Trump's a good example for one reason, because he's got one thing that no one can really argue with, right? Which is he put into place the animal, or he re-brought back the animal cruelty thing, and really pushed like putting a lot more money into saving animals and safekeeping animals and saving them from abuse. It's like no one can argue that that's not a good decision, a good thing to do. Literally, not like if you argue against that, you're for like abusing animals, basically, right? But people like they won't listen to that because it's coming from Donald Trump, you know? It's liking disliking bias. It's a really powerful one to take note of. And when it comes to political stuff and voting, it can get really dangerous because you will not listen to something if you do not like that thing, no matter if that information is good or not. Anyway, let's see if I've got any comments for that. Well, thanks. Fair enough. Good. Nice discussion. Thank you. Appreciate it. SuperCool is awesome. Thank you. It dealt with people driving from fine dining and trusting your tires. Oh, interesting. Nice. Didn't know that. Priority, yep. And I mean, religion is the same. It's yeah. I'm not comparing politics to religion. There are a lot of similarities. I guess I am comparing it, but religion, it's the same, right? You know, what your God, you believe what your God, what your religion says. Anyway, that's a landmine. I'm going to sidestep that one and continue on. God, I'm not gonna get into religion. How to use it? Confirmation bias. So yeah, people seek out information that confirms their existing beliefs and ignore contradicting information. How to use it? Reinforce customers' self-perception values. Create brand communities around shared beliefs. That's what we do on our live calls. Use messaging that align with target audience worldviews. Real world examples. Think different reinforces customers' beliefs that they're creative and innovative. Patagonia, environmental activism appeals to eco-conscious consumers' values. Harley Davidson, freedom and rebellion. Messaging confirms buyers' self-image. Nike as well, you know, Nike just do it. Like I'm a huge Nike, or Nike, however you say it, advocate, and I get a sense of that when I put on that brand. Like I like the image. Am I wearing anything with Nike on it now? But no, I've got my Nike hat here. It's a sweet logo, but you're not just wearing the logo, you're wearing just do it, right? So it's powerful. And it confirms a lot of my like inner belief as well, right? Whole Foods quality and health conscious. Yep, I shop at Whole Foods. Love it or hate it. CrossFit community reinforces belief that they're tougher and more dedicated than regular gym goers. Framing effect. Like I could frame the upcoming. Remember, guys, this is all like as we're going through this, how can you use this in your marketing? How can you use this in your front end ads, in your landing pages? Like how are you utilizing this stuff? It's very, very powerful. The incubator, for instance, like you could frame it a few different ways. It's the same thing, but you are framing the experience on who you're talking to, right? So this upcoming incubator, I could frame it a few different ways straight off the top of my head. The incubator is a chance to get your ideas in front of incredibly high level VCs and investors, like venture capital investors and entrepreneurs. If I'm talking to a particular individual, that might be the right framing for the incubator for that. Another frame for it is, you know, you're coming to this incubator because we are barricading you in and we will not let you leave until you have your business launched, right? That appeals to a different type of person, maybe a entrepreneur that has never actually had a successful launch of anything. So they're not so much inclined or triggered or have those psychological switches flickering and hot cognition going if you're talking to them about VCs and investors. That's more of like let's say an advanced entrepreneur that knows about VCs and investing and that world, right? That's the way to talk to them. But the way to talk to a new entrepreneur that hasn't launched anything is like, we will barricade you in. And all of this is true. All of this is real. It's what frame are you talking to that person to? What's another one is like, some people might be fans of Alex. So the way to frame it is like, well, there's no better place to be in the world than 6 days barricaded in with friggin' Alex Mayer, who's had a $258 million exit, and has launched multiple successful businesses over the years. So you see, it's exactly the same thing. Three completely different frames depending on who I'm talking to. Are you a fan of Alex? I'm choosing this frame. Are you a entrepreneur that desperately knows you're bursting with like entrepreneurial ideas, but you haven't been able to take action and had a successful launch yet? Then I would talk to you this way. I would frame it this way. If you're a more advanced person that maybe has had a few businesses and are very interested in the VC world and investing, guess which frame I'm going for? Same thing, framed completely three different ways, depending on who you're talking to, that have completely different impacts, right? That's all real and genuine and authentic. I'm not lying about anything. That's just three complete. In fact, like obviously you should not do that. But all those three things are completely true. Now, there's an argument. There's also the hullabalooza effect, which is another cognitive bias. Some people might love all of it, and you actually overwhelm them with awesomeness. I think it's the hullabalooza. Yeah, one of the cognitive biases that Charlie Munger used to talk about is the hullabalooza effect, where you just pummel people with insane amounts of awesomeness. Like, oh, you get to see Alex, and oh, you're going to get in front of VCs and investors, and oh, you're going to launch businesses, and we'll barricade you in, and you'll literally have clients, and da da da. We'll build all these sales funnels, and people are like, oh, it's awesome. Yeah, sign me up. That's the hullabalooza effect. But there's new that's another thing, right? There's nuance to this. It's not like any one of these is going to work. It's like, which combination of what are you doing in what order also has a lot of weight. All right, almost at the end here, or was that the last one? Okay, that was the last one, framing effect. But let's see what they said. What time are we at? Oh, nice. Came up to the hour. People react differently to the same information depending on how it's presented. Frame prizes positively, save v spend. Yeah, like you should never use the word discount in sales because discount is associated and has connotations of like devaluing. So don't, if you're like doing sale, like you know when you see discount stores or like things on discount or sell all now, it immediately lowers the value, your perceived value of that thing, right? So don't use the word discount. It's a horrible word, and immediately thinks people of devaluing the products. Instead, you can do different types of offers or pricing rather than discounting something. Emphasize benefits over features, use positive language and imagery. Yeah, real world examples, Weight Watchers, wellness that works instead of diet program. Yeah, nice. You see, diet program, negative connotation, wellness that works, positive connotation. Ground beef labels. 90% lean sells way better than 10% fat. It's this exactly the same thing, two opposite frames. I'm a sucker for all this stuff all the time. Your mind can't help it. Like we always get the 90% lean. Like if it said 10% fat, you'd be like, oh, gross, that's disgusting. I don't want 10% fat in my meat. But 90% lean sounds great. It's exactly the same thing. Credit cards annual fee of 95 versus just 7.95 a month or 7.92 a month. Subway positioned as healthy fast food versus competitors framed as junk food. Life insurance protect your family's future. What if you versus what if you die? Negative, but also used. Yeah, it's the negative valence, right? That Alex talks about. Sometimes the negative valence helps. It's like FOMO, fear of loss, scarcity. A huge thing that this document doesn't talk about is the cognitive biases of moving away from the two biggest human emotions are just moving away from pain and towards pleasure, right? Or reward. So in your marketing, your landing pages, when you're generating stuff on Famous, usually you'll see like it highlights all of the pain features of what it is like when I do my meditation apps or whatever, or landing pages for meditation apps, it will highlight all the stuff like how stressed mothers are day to day and how they're trying to hide from their kids in the bathroom or hide in the car after school drop off and no one has any time to do anything and everyone's super stressed and it's all like Wolf of Wall Street. It's like it's all up here. So and but then it's the problems and then showcases the solutions and how your products and service is the solution to those problems. It's highlighting pain and reward. You move away from pain, you move towards reward. So yeah, nice. Let me I'll share this with you guys. Oh shit, I can't do that right now. I've got to get an upload link. But anyway, for your so next campaign, set a high anchor price or premium option. I'll tell you what, just in case you did want to. If you want this doc to help you at all, just email me and something cheeky. You can do that like you guys did for Black Friday. Exactly. Exactly. That's a good example, yeah, Joanna, of the Hullabalooza effect. Exactly. Like, oh, you get this, and this, and this is like, yeah, give it to me, give it to me. I don't even know what it is, but so much stuff. Give it to me. That's the Hullabalooza effect. So for your next campaign, set a high anchor price or premium option, add social proof, reviews, testimonials, user accounts, create scarcity. This is funny. This is literally like a checklist of what Famous does if you're generating a landing page. It automatically does the majority of this, but still, it's good for you to like, you can potentially add some stuff in. Frame benefits in terms of loss avoidance. Offer something free first, reciprocity, include expert endorsements or certifications. Use three-tier pricing with a decoy, offer trials or customization, endowment or commitment consistency, align messaging with customer values, frame information positively or negatively, depending on, whether you're going with like the negative valence that Alex likes to use a lot. Key takeaways. Use multiple biases together for maximum effect, scarcity, and social proof. Always test and measure. What works varies by audience. Be ethical, enhance decision making, don't manipulate. Exactly, can stress that enough. The best marketing helps customers make choices they'll be happy with. These biases. Also, keep in mind, guys, you can't please all the people all the time. But as long as you know you're kicking out incredibly awesome value, don't be afraid of the well, I was going to say troll. Some people can just genuinely not like your stuff. That's okay too. Don't worry about it. As long as you know you're building badass stuff um, that you can be proud of, put it out there. But just know, like, there's no way to do big things without getting a little bit of hate. It's a side lesson. Don't let it bother you. It's fine. These biases work because they're natural human tendencies. Exactly. You're like, the cognitive biases are happening whether you like them or not. You're using them without knowing potentially. Maybe you know them to be aware of them is great, but people are definitely using them on you. I will throw a number out and say you're probably hit with 1,000 different cognitive biases every single day of people trying to sell you into whatever it might be. You're walking down the street, you got restaurants and offers and shops, or you're on social, you're getting hit with ads or whatever from your favorite influencers. People are using this stuff on you all the time. So be aware of it to make better decisions for what you purchase, but also for your own marketing and what you're doing in your life.